Hi, I'm Kriss Harvey of & Sons Chocolatier in Beverly Hills. Welcome to the Vegan Butter Academy. Today we're going to be making a vegan caramel sauce and a vegan salted butter chewy caramel using Miyoko's European-style cultured vegan butter. I've always made these conventionally, and I found that using Miyoko's European-style cultured butter gives me actually a better result and a fuller flavor and a richer texture. So one of the methods I'm going to show you is how to make a dry caramel and how to make a wet caramel, and I'm going to show you the differences between the two. When we make the caramel sauce, we're going to use a dry caramelization technique. In other words, it's just going to be the pan heat, the sugar, and then we're going to rest it with the warm cashew milk, and then finally we're going to add the vegan butter to it. For the chewy salted butter caramel, we're going to add all the sugar, the passion fruit puree, the mango puree, and the cashew milk together, and we're going to stir it until it achieves the temperature we're looking for, in this case 124 degrees Celsius. And what that's going to do is going to give us that common elastic texture that we're looking for that you see in other salted butter caramels. I'm using Miyoko's vegan butter today because it has a nice clean flavor to it, and it's going to give me an amazing texture to my final products. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button to get all the videos from the Vegan Butter Academy. Let's get started on these recipes. The first thing we're making today is the vegan caramel sauce. And this is going to be an amazing recipe because you can utilize it in many different ways. For today's recipe, we're going to be using cane sugar, fresh cashew milk, the cultured vegan butter, and sea salt. And if you want to add vanilla bean to it, or lemon zest, or orange zest, you can add that to the cashew milk to kind of infuse that flavor into it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to warm up my cashew milk. So just kind of place it in your pan. And I'm not looking for any specific temperature. You just want to see some steam coming off it, and that should be sufficient for this. Just take that chill off it and get it warm enough so when you add it to the sugar that it doesn't cause any seizing of that caramelized sugar. Because the sugar is so hot that when you introduce something to it, you want to make sure what you're introducing to it isn't cold. So once the cashew milk is warmed up, all you have to do is just kind of set it aside, and then we're ready to caramelize our sugar. So you're going to start with a fresh clean pan, and we're going to get that hot. If you're using a gas burner at home, go about medium heat and just kind of start slow if you're not used to doing these caramels, because you want to have control over the caramel and not let it control you. What we're going to do is we're going to get our pan hot on bottom, and then we're going to slowly add the sugar a little bit at a time. As the sugar starts caramelizing, we'll keep adding more and more sugar to it. And once the sugar melts, and you can see it melting very, very quickly, kind of dancing around at the bottom of the pot, we're going to add a little bit more sugar to it. And then eventually a little bit more. And then you can stir it, no problem. And you see how fast it's melting and caramelizing? There we are. And of course, that's going to drop the pan temperature a little bit. So let that catch back up, melt the sugar, and then we can start adding more granulated sugar to it. You see a little bit of smoke coming off it. Don't be afraid of that. I mean, that's one of the things about caramelizing sugar that people are afraid of. They're afraid of using those high temperatures, but you definitely shouldn't be. Okay, so as you can see, the caramel is deepening and it's looking more and more liquidy. So at this point, we can add a little bit more granulated sugar to it. Make sure everything is nearby, make sure everything is measured correctly, and just make sure that you're paying attention to everything that goes on here, especially that internal temperature once we get all that sugar in the pot. Our target temperature for this is 193 Celsius. Anything over 200 degrees Celsius is basically inedible. It's much, much too dark. So you see the color of the caramel, it still isn't where we want it to be. And of course it's stuck to the spoon. So we just keep moving it around. Eventually it'll all melt and then caramelize to where we want to take it. And sugar is one of these things that's going to do the exact same thing every time when you caramelize it. If you do it enough times and you pay attention to it, you're going to see it develop like kind of an orange foam around the outside. It'll move towards the inside. And this is just how science works. It's highly predictable every time. So there's the color of your caramel right here, 193 Celsius. When it reaches 193, that's when you want to carefully add the cashew milk. So a little bit at a time. Make sure you're using a long spatula, and this will keep your hands safe from all that steam heat coming off it. And you can see how volatile it actually is from all that steam. Be cautious when doing this as that water boils out of it. It kind of holds that temperature underneath the surface of the caramel, which when you stir it could kind of, burn your hand, burn your neck, that sort of thing. Believe me, I've had plenty of injuries in the kitchen, so I speak from experience. So that is saying it's reached 103 degrees Celsius. And the reason that's important is that's going to affect our final texture of the caramel sauce as well. Okay, so now that our caramel sauce is done, we can take it off the heat and then we can blend in the vegan butter. It's still liquidy, and any little sugar that may be seized up on the bottom of the pot will relax. At this point, I'm going to add the sea salt to it. It looks a little bit watery, and that's because it is. Cashew milk is just water, that's all it is. But it's an essential part of your sauce, and what's going to thicken this caramel sauce and give us that amazing texture is going to be this beautiful vegan butter. And make sure you go slowly, because it's still very, very hot. It can be very dangerous. It is important that your butter is room temperature. It definitely will make it easier to incorporate into the caramel sauce itself. So you're going to want to use an immersion blender when you're doing this. Get all of it in there. All that flavor, all that texture is in the butter. And that's why it's important to use such a great butter. All the way down. Okay, so once the butter is incorporated in, it's finished. You're going to store this in your refrigerator. Just seal it, label and date it. It'll be good for several weeks, perhaps even longer. You can use it at a dinner party. You can gift it to a friend. Just share it with somebody, because that is the best part about food, is sharing it with someone that you love. So for the next recipe, we're gonna make a salted butter caramel featuring mango, passion fruit, vanilla, and of course Miyoko's vegan butter. So the first recipe, we caramelized the sugar using the dry technique. In other words, we heated the pan until it was hot, and then we slowly started caramelizing the sugar, and then arrested it with the cashew milk. This technique is different. We're going to add all the ingredients except for the butter into the pot, and we're gonna stir it until we achieve the temperature of 124. And then we'll remove it from the heat and add the butter. So the most important part about this recipe is making sure that you stir it all the way through. Stirring it all the way through means you're gonna maintain the beautiful color of the two fruit purees, and also maintaining the temperature that we really wanna reach is 124. So 1 degree higher than 124 or 1 degree lower than 124 definitely has consequences. It could stick to the plastic if it's too soft. It could stick to your teeth if it's too hard. For this recipe, we only have a handful of ingredients. We have sugar, and in the sugar I've already measured glucose powder and glucose syrup. We also have passion fruit puree and mango puree. I also have fresh cashew milk, and I've infused it with vanilla bean. And the reason I infuse it first is to kind of give that depth of flavor of the vanilla bean into the cashew milk, so when it gets cooked into it, that vanilla really stands out. And the final ingredient is Miyoko's cultured vegan butter. This has such a mild flavor that it actually makes this caramel more acidic, more flavorful, more tasty. This is the sugar, the glucose syrup, and the glucose powder, and it can all go in at once. And then you can add the cashew milk infused with the vanilla. This is mango and passion fruit. Once you get all this in, start stirring it, and you're not gonna stop stirring it until it achieves this temperature of 124 degrees Celsius. You still have to be diligent not to walk away from it. I can't stress that enough, that if you wanna maintain this beautiful color, stirring it is essential to it. So you want the bottom of the pan to be clean. You can expect this to take somewhere between 20 and 25 minutes to finish. And what's actually happening here is that the water is boiling out of the base and the sugar is taking over. So we know water will boil only at 100 degrees Celsius at this atmosphere. So at 102 degrees Celsius, you see the water cooking out and the sugar taking over. Okay, so we see that as the temperature increases, the bubbles start changing, and then the caramel starts going down. So again, you want to keep aggressive on your stirring here and make sure that that bottom stays clean. So now that we're at a temperature of 112 degrees Celsius, we can see quite a difference in the volume of our pot. So you really want to accelerate your stirring here. And I'm gonna pitch this up so you can see it a little bit, and you see the bottom of the pot is still very, very clean, even though it's very, very volatile at this point. You can see it getting thicker and thicker and thicker, and the temperature is rapidly increasing to our target temperature of 124 degrees Celsius. So it's very crucial that you pay attention to the temperatures. And notice I'm making wide sweeps of my stirring. It's 122, 123. And when we hit 124, we want to wait about 2 or 3 seconds and make sure that we're getting a correct reading. So I'm going to turn the heat off. We've achieved our temperature, and you can see, how volatile it looks, but the bottom is still clean. Okay, and now you can put all of your Miyoko's cultured vegan butter in at once. And you see that reaction? That's from the water in the vegan butter. and that all evaporates as it hits. Don't worry if it's taking too long, just be thorough. Nothing bad is gonna happen to it. It's not gonna set up immediately in the pot. It takes a few hours until it gets just to the right texture at room temperature. You can speed it up a little bit by putting it into the fridge and getting it cold for about 30 minutes if you want to do that before you cut it. I tend to do that in my laboratory as well. So you see that beautiful texture. That is incredible. You can see the vanilla beans, you see the color of the passion fruit, the color of the mango. It smells amazing and it's gonna taste amazing. And the best part, it's vegan. Okay, so now that the caramel is ready and the butter is incorporated perfectly, it's time to pour it into our frame. So this is a 34 centimeter frame, 1 centimeter high. So it'll kind of spread on its own. Get it all in there, kind of move it towards the corners, and it'll definitely lay flat into the frame. And then, remember I promised the bottom would be clean? The bottom is clean. And look at that beautiful color that I maintained. This is a showstopper. And we can cool it real quickly here on the soap pad, so we can show you exactly the texture of the caramel will be when it's fully set and fully cured. Now, if you want to pop it in the fridge before you cut it, I recommend you only do it for about 20 or 30 minutes. Now that we've cooled it down on the soap pad, we can pull it off so I can kind of show you what that final texture is going to be. So it kind of has like that window texture, that kind of elasticity. We can kind of roll around in our fingers and it won't stick to our fingers, which means it won't stick to the plastic wrapper that we're going to wrap it in, and it definitely won't stick to our teeth. Thanks for joining me on the Vegan Butter Academy. We made some amazing caramels. They're very versatile. You can do what you want with them. Obviously, I can't leave without tasting something, so here we go. Amazing combination. Chocolate, salted caramel, vegan butter.